Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Johnita Stanton. We have Reginald Perriman and Shaka Williams. We are TSARE, and this is a There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. What y'all over here arguing about?
Come up with I'm going to come up with some ad-libs. When you say welcome, I'm going to be on the side. Yeah.
Okay, you going to turn this a little Uzi?
No, I ain't going to turn it. I don't know about
You going to be starting getting the hips?
You could have gave me somebody else.
Okay, I mean, I'm just
Jeezy.
saying.
He gonna turn into Jeezy.
Yeah,
P. Diddy?
dang, he said
P. Diddy famous for the ad-libs.
No,
He don't make the
you
most
missing
money.
the whole
But
point.
look, so we went to Tigers game for McCoy's birthday. And they were talking about Diddy making money off of having like the Masters and like, you know, not doing much work and, you know, this, that, and the third. And her best friend made like the greatest point. Like, so people just mad at him for like having his business in order?
Yeah.
And he did do a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, he did. He
Who
did
put the money up?
He did a lot of work too. And he
Take that.
Right. Man,
he had the ear. Diddy did a lot of work. He earned his.
Yeah. And they tried to make it seem like him and Jermaine Dupri wouldn't. What's that? Diddy and Jermaine Dupri that's supposed to have a versus? I'm like, y'all sleeping on Diddy.
No, but they are different though.
They are different, but
they
it's still be a
sleeping
good
on
verse.
Jermaine. They saying
Yeah.
Diddy wanted to have a versus with Dr. Dre.
Oh no.
But I'm like, and then Jermaine, like, no, I think people sleeping on Jermaine Dupri.
Okay.
'Cause they both got hit. I think
I
that's the
figured
better.
they was sleeping on Diddy because I always known people to like hate on Diddy.
Nah. My whole thing is I don't care if we talking music, real estate, whatever. People don't seem to respect the person that put the money up because if I put the money, your album could have flopped, Biggie could have flopped. You know what I'm saying? Like these were people that probably could have been on any other label and made music, made albums, and it didn't go anywhere.
Look, that's why I had to get out of artist management because they didn't want to give me my executive producer credits.
Yeah.
Diddy did more than put the money up though. But Diddy is different. Jermaine Dupri is a writer. Diddy is not. So they're different. Yeah, I don't think. So I think the verses is good, but I don't think you can compare the two as who they are as producers. They're different.
Yeah.
Diddy is an executive producer. Jermaine Dupri is a real producer, writer, and executive producer. You know. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So how to prep your home for an FHA mortgage?
Get an FHA appraisal.
Dun dun dun. I mean, so we're gonna go down this. All right, yeah. So who? That's what we gonna. You're just gonna get an FHA appraisal. That's not how you prep for the mortgage.
I think that you can
because the appraisal is once.
Oh, you said a mortgage. I thought you were saying prep your home because we was talking about on another show.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, maybe it should say how to prep your home for the FHA appraisal.
I did what the average person did. I didn't read.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, that do say mortgage. That's what they be like when they call on the listings.
What I would do is start working on safety issues, right? Smoke detectors.
You ain't even listening. She said, "Get prepared for an FHA mortgage."
Oh,
that's the buyer.
Shit.
You still on another episode?
Yeah, but I'm kind of doing it to myself too, which is crazy because I think some of the questions toward the end are more geared to it. So we're gonna talk a little bit of both. So look,
okay.
It's crazy.
From what perspective?
Let's talk about how to prepare for the mortgage from the appraisal perspective.
For the seller,
we have an FHA buyer. We know that we've accepted this offer, and we know the appraisal is coming.
Prior to that, but prior to you putting it on the market, you should be doing that though.
Yeah,
if
you
you're
should.
accepting FHA as a finance,
right?
So what I was saying was right. See, I was right. So, so I mean, that's what I read it to understand it that way.
Right.
But I hear.
Yeah, say how to
We
prep
was all
your
confused.
home.
It's okay.
No, it say how to prep your home for an FHA mortgage.
I mean, I wrote it, and I'm confused. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would make sure I got my smoke detectors. Make sure I got no chip and pellet paint.
Oh, wait a minute. Am I the executive producer for the show?
No.
No.
see,
shot that
see
down
how
quick,
see how they act. That's what I be talking about. These artists is what I be talking about. You can't work with them. Anyway, go ahead, Mr. Williams.
First of all, you are not. I'm not Looney or Loon or whoever the hell Craig Mack and all them. I would be like Diddy too. So I guess
not in this
so
realm.
We would be like, in this room.
No, not in this realm.
Yeah.
You just show up and to talk.
Yeah. But I'm answering my own questions. Like, you don't give me no answers. You know what I'm saying? Diddy is like arranging everything or whatever. You come up with questions that's like for a basis, but we know what the hell we talking about up here. So them artists
Who picked the location?
Them artists don't be knowing how to
Who picked the
arrange
location?
songs. We know how to arrange. We know what we talking about.
Who registered the LLC? No, go ahead.
I think I did.
No.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
I did.
Biggie.
You did not.
Y'all talking about I'm Biggie.
Anyway, so all right, we're talking about from the perspective of the seller getting their property ready to possibly accept the FHA financing. Right?
Yeah, to get it ready for FHA standards. So you got your handrails, your smoke detectors, your making sure your roof has a certain life expectancy, right? No peeling paint.
Chipped and peeling paint.
Inside and out. No, what's the crack concrete requirements? No more than how many inches? 2 inches, and you can't have any trip hazards.
More than 3 inches, 3 to 4.
But trip hazards don't necessarily mean like your driveway or sidewalk. It can be, you know how
Space.
people put those
Slabs.
them little slabs and little square slabs down their backyard. If those are uneven and those are a trip hazard, then some appraisers will write that up too.
Yeah, but it can also be the
Even though
space
they're
in
just sitting
between.
on dirt. Yep. So you gotta make sure those are level. What else?
So I want to say
The space
something.
in between too. So like when in the driveway. So what is that supposed to be filled with?
You can, right? I don't want to say because they don't
You
care.
can seal it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
It
but I
don't
guess what
matter.
I'm saying is like, so what they say is, oh well, if a lady has on heels, her heel could go through there.
Right. So you can fill it
Fill it
in.
with a
Yeah.
bunch
Yep.
of different things.
Right.
They don't have
Yeah.
anything specific.
It can be dirt.
yeah.
It can be more concrete. It could be a number of things. Yep.
GFCIs.
Yep.
In bathrooms, kitchens.
So explain
anywhere near
that.
Water.
Within 6 feet of
Yep.
a water source?
No, I
It's
think
6
it's
feet.
3. Is
6.
Is it 6 feet?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's 3 feet.
It's 6.
Okay. Because I think some cities, the code and FHA might be a little different.
I'm talking about FHA. It's 6 feet.
Oh,
6
okay.
feet.
And
So
then they
your-
also
in your
got, so this is something I
bathroom-
don't understand. Shaka might know.
Right.
But it's like when you have the center island, but there's no sink in the center island, but you still have to have a GFCI because they talk about
Yeah.
like if you plug up a blender or something like that.
Yeah.
Dang, guess what?
Yep.
Breaking news. This says that this is from FHA no longer requires GFCI outlets.
What? When was that written and what source is that?
You know why they? I don't know about
Is that
but
LinkedIn?
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know about that.
Is
but
LinkedIn
anyway,
reliable?
but
I
anyway,
would say so.
Is LinkedIn a
if
reliable
they
source?
don't, but here's the thing: is it's still up to the underwriter,
It is.
and it's up to
And to their appraiser.
and it's up to the appraiser, and if it's city code, and if the buyer has a private inspection, they gonna say that this is city code.
If we were writing
easy.
a report for school, would LinkedIn be a reliable
Yes,
source?
100%. I think. I mean, depending on where.
Well,
when
depending
the
on
reference is.
how it got on LinkedIn, is it a writer or somebody affiliated with LinkedIn, or is it just somebody on LinkedIn that made a post?
Right.
All right.
But anyway, I don't care what they say on that. Y'all should still have GFCIs and within that 6 feet, I think it is, of a water source in your bathrooms, kitchens, and don't forget the laundry room. A lot of people forget the laundry room too.
Anywhere where there's water, just
Yep.
think that.
But explain this center island.
Oh, that's just the code. That's just the code.
That's just what it is.
Yep.
Yep,
Don't
'cause
argue.
you
No
can-
explanation.
You can plug up something that has water, coffee, pot, Keurig, or whatever, and it can leak.
Gotcha.
and you
John,
get
it was
shot.
Right. 6 feet is FHA guidelines.
Yep.
I never say I'm 100% if I'm not 100%.
Yep.
So we talked about GFCIs, handrails, guardrails for like porches. So
Yep.
guardrails, if the porch is 16 feet from the ground,
Inches.
or yeah,
Inches, yeah, because
My bad.
16 feet kind of tall.
Yeah.
Janita.
yeah, you're right. My bad.
All right.
But so in particular, I was talking
And
to
2 steps. I thought it was.
The
2
idea
steps.
is if
Two
you
steps or more.
fall after a certain height, the type of injury will increase, or whatever the amount of damage would increase. So
all right.
once it's a certain height, you need guardrails.
So I was talking to a seller of mine. They have this bedroom with the back door that leads onto a flat top roof. And so I said, well, you need to have a guardrail up on the porch.
Right.
So they said, oh, it's not a porch.
It don't matter.
And so I said, okay, all right, maybe it's not a porch. However, you need to have a guardrail up. And I said, I need to check this. And I did check it with an appraiser. You can bolt the door, probably deadbolt it, and put a 2x4 or whatever across the door.
Double-sided lock.
So now the question that I had about the double-sided lock, because this could be tricky, right? So in a bedroom, there's typically a wall. But I know that appraisers and lenders can be a little annoying.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, if we put the double-sided lock up, is that now going to be a fire hazard?
No.
And she's like, well, no, because that
window.
No.
Exactly.
Yep.
So if you have, whether you want to call it a porch or not, if you can walk out the door onto this flat top surface
And fall.
and potentially fall, you need to have either a guardrail up, which is probably going to be more expensive to do, or do the double-sided lock, but then you also still have to go across the door with the 2x4. It's the same thing that they do in construction, new construction, when they don't build the decks.
And that's why you see a lot of 2-family flats that have that back door up there, and they don't put a guardrail. They just end up bricking in that door.
Yeah.
Because then you eliminate all issues. Because if you're an investor, landlord, you don't even want the option that somebody might just leave that door unlocked and somebody just walk out and fall. So you see a lot of people just brick those in. But speaking of window egress, so if you got bars on your windows, one of the windows needs to be able to have a latch or access. You can't have all your windows barred in because if you have a fire, you can't just open the window.
They make you take all those bars off.
On a conventional. Not even on the FHA.
No,
I
was
a conventional
on my
appraisal.
last deal. One of the bars had to come off, or it had to have an interior latch where somebody can just.
So that's where we go back to what I was saying about depends on the individual. So it's supposed to be a basic set of rules. But they make their own shit up.
Yeah.
No,
most of the time when I see that, they just say remove the bars from the window.
Yeah, I was told one window has to have in each room it needs to be able to you need to be able to exit in case of a fire.
And we were just told that all the bars had to come off the window. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
But that's been more than most of the time when I get
appraiser that said that.
Right.
Yeah, like I mean over the years. So I've heard that before. It's been a long time. Most of the time when I get them now that's the requirement is that they take the bars off.
But I bet you neither one of them is exactly the requirement. The issue is who's going to argue and then who you're going to argue with.
Right.
Right.
Like we got an idiot appraiser right now that I'm like, who can we get to?
Hot water tank safety. So hot water tanks. What do most people miss with the hot water tank?
The release valve.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
No.
The drainage.
Yep, the tube
That's
coming
the
down has
That's
to
the
be
release. Yeah.
a certain number of inches from the ground.
That's the release valve he's talking about. Yeah, and then that's it. That's all they really miss.
Do you know how far up?
No, I don't know the exact measurement.
They standard, and if you unless somebody's making one, those are standard. You buy those at Home Depot for $5.
Oh, okay, because I've had that before more than once where they had to like cut it.
Yeah, no, they standard size.
No, that's because somebody probably they either brought something different and tried to fit it in, or theirs was just old.
Yeah,
Junction boxes.
Junction boxes are not necessary, so everybody doesn't have necessarily have junction boxes.
But if you do,
But if you do, they're supposed. So it depends. You talking about for FHA? They just supposed to have a cover. But if you're talking about the
FHA.
all right, so it's supposed to have a cover. But there's another
Every
caveat to
electrical,
the
all
the
your electrical
junction
boxes.
boxes. Junction boxes are supposed to be not hidden. So some people will hide your junction boxes behind drywall, and you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
But yeah, for FHA purposes, just got to have a cover.
Right.
Okay.
I've seen some appraisers, like if your piping, you know how you have gas pipe one color and all of that, and you know how people go in and spray their basement ceiling and it's all black. I've seen appraisers write that up too, because you can't identify which pipe is which. Like the homeowner may know, and a contractor may know, but the average buyer.
You could take a penny.
I don't know why
and
you
rub
would
that off.
need to identify it. What you need to identify for? Like, where's the? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's.
I don't know.
that's my
Maybe you
point.
Because you
remove it,
can identify it
maybe-
at the
touch it.
valve.
No, I'm saying in the
touch it,
ceiling,
see what
they
it is.
painted
Yeah, you can touch
everything black, and the average homeowner go up there and say, "Oh, I got some plumbing issues over here. I'm about to take this off over here," and they take off a gas pipe instead of. I'm just saying the
They do
average
that
homeowner.
shit even when they can see that
I know, but that's what I'm
When you see
saying.
the galvanized and
But-
the gas pipe, they do the same thing.
But that's what I'm saying. If it's all
Yeah.
black, it makes it worse. I've seen appraisers write that up.
But
like
I agree with you. I mean, I hear you, and I think that's my issue with these appraisers right now.
What's the biggest thing that comes up with the FHA appraisal?
mine's is either peel and paint concrete.
That's it right there. That's what I was gonna say.
Peel and paint concrete, and that's
Peel and
even
paint is
on
probably
VA.
the number one.
Yep.
I
I don't care if it's the garage door. I don't care if it's behind the garage on the part that's facing the alley, not used anymore. Peel and paint, or I don't care if it's in between the storm window and the window, and you got peel and paint in there. Somebody got to get in there and paint.
I think that's because it's the easiest thing for them to identify. It's like,
Yeah,
bruh,
and it's
why
the-
didn't you not do it? And it's easy for you to,
Fix,
Yeah.
rectify it, yeah.
And the issue is lead-based paint. They scared it's lead-based paint exposure, and the kids gonna eat the paint chips.
And that's a real thing, which is crazy. And so, all right, let's talk about we gonna go off a little bit. Do y'all still make sure? So I just had to talk to one of our agents about why I do things the way that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still make sure your clients get the brochure?
Yeah, the lead-based paint pamphlet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I emailed it to them. I ain't about to print all of that out.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of people are getting away from it, and then a lot of the younger, or not necessarily younger in age, but newbie agents coming in, they don't even realize like that's a real thing. So we're sending over this FHA or this lead-based paint addendum, having our clients sign it, saying that they received the
and you
pamphlet,
ain't give it to
and
them.
then you ain't give them the pamphlet. And so I'm like, no, that's a serious thing. So when I'm like training and I'm telling, people like, no, we have to get this email back. So on the email when my clients get their welcome letter and they get that
Right.
pamphlet, I say to send us an email back saying that this has been received.
Yep, some lenders give it out too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and then it used to be a time all lenders and realtors had those pamphlets in the office and be like, give it to them.
But the reason why I do it, because I do think, like I've seen a lot of children under 3 get lead poisoning, and
Recently?
yeah,
And,
like
they say the paint tastes sweet. The paint chips taste
yeah,
sweet.
the kids they
But
gravitate to it.
I didn't. I don't have no.
like, like how long
I
y'all
never
talking
seen
about?
nobody eat the paint chips when I was growing up, but I'm pretty sure I'm suspicious about a few people.
Right.
that probably was eating them like Cheetos.
I'm just saying, so like when I
Yeah.
know people that have, like children coming up or whatever, I just
Yep.
tell them like read the brochure, like know that this is something that could be harmful. If you buying a 200-year-old house, yeah, it's probably got 10 coats of paint on it from the original walls,
Right.
and you but just if you got chipped and peel and paint, like please just don't.
But
It's normally like window sills and shit.
yeah, but even if you go to make some moderations to the property, like you breaking up a wall or something like that, or you nailing something up, you can have lead-based paint exposure. So they tell you that type of stuff in a brochure, but the average person not
Reading it.
paying attention.
All right. So the roof, how is the roof looked at?
You can't have any buckling shingles. You can't have any missing shingles, and 3 to 5
More
5
than 2 years.
Yeah, life expectancy.
Which is crazy because honestly, they cannot tell you how long they have. But
You
whatever.
can
Yeah.
have a roof that look fine and it can still be leaking somewhere in a valley or.
But I think
between
they're
the
most of saying like
flashing.
shit. If it's obvious that you need a new roof, then we not gonna.
That's
like,
basically what they
Yeah.
saying.
That's all based on also how well the roof is put on and the quality of the install.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why I said I feel like that's crazy, but I understand.
Some appraisers will crawl into attic space. They say they need to see in the
Head and
attic
shoulders.
and crawl spaces. Yep. Be able to get head and shoulders in there unless there's something in there looking back at them.
All right. So I put cleaning. So like I'm telling you, my answer to everything is cleaning and organizing because I promise when people come into a well organized and clean space that smells nice, they just not. I feel like they're not gonna nitpick you. That's just me.
Yeah, I
So.
think that is a preference. That's a good point. Like, have your house in order and looking nice. If it looks neglected, it's more reason to look for other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I if they ain't cleaning the sink, I know they ain't fixing nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of like that mindset. Like, if they ain't paid attention to this, I know they ain't
got some other stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we jump out of this episode, I want to talk about
Change your furnace filter.
Please change the furnace filter. Like, come on.
You know how many people don't change their furnace filter at all for like 5 or 6 years, 10 years?
The same people that don't change their toothbrush.
I don't know. That might be a little different.
You mentioned they the same
I know people that just didn't know they were supposed to change their furnace.
They're like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to change my toothbrush.
Man, I went down. Did I told you this? I sent you a picture. I went to change my furnace filter this past winter, and I pulled out a newly dead mouse. And I was like, I sent Shaka a picture. And I'm like, does this mean I have mice?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
That boy was in there. That boy was in there getting warm. He was in there cuddling.
Man, I felt so bad. Well, at first I was scared, and then I felt bad. I'm like, oh my God, it's like a baby mouse stuck in the furnace filter. I like went screaming. August is like, Mommy, what's wrong? And I'm like, there's a mouse in the furnace filter.
You weren't supposed to tell the kids.
She always gonna have mice though. You live in a
man.
Yeah, you're gonna have
mice, bugs. I get the exterminator comes to my house often. I pay a lot of money. Anywho's, so I want to talk about. We're not gonna go like deep into it. I just want to do real quick for sellers that are accepting FHA terms. Is it a myth or not a myth that FHA appraisals are bad?
It's a myth because I don't care what. People, unless you got obvious FHA repairs that you cannot afford to fix, or you're not willing to deal with if a buyer's having a private inspection, more than likely most of that stuff that's gonna come up on FHA gonna come up in a private inspection. That's my opinion.
I feel like it depends. Like you just said, I won't call it a myth. It depends. Like, so the trip hazards, for example, in the driveway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes FHA, that could kill a deal.
Yeah.
Literally, right?
But a conventional deal may not.
But it's going to so if you have that trip hazard or that, that's probably not going to come up on your private inspection, that trip hazard. And if that comes up on your FHA appraisal, then that deal is not going forward unless that is corrected, and that could cost a lot of money.
But that's why I said if you got obvious FHA repairs that you're not willing to address, then don't go FHA. But if you got the fair to average condition home, and you say I don't want FHA just because they write up repairs, well, let's discuss that first.
For sure.
Because you may not have repairs, and the repairs you're thinking about may come up anyway in a private inspection or a conventional appraisal. Because just because it's conventional don't mean they don't write up repair issues.
So is that a myth?
Especially now.
Right.
Because a lot of people believe that.
But that used to be true. I used to didn't think that was a myth, but now that is for sure a myth.
Your home is either gonna meet a certain standard or it's not. That's just it. FHA just has, you kind of know exactly what FHA is gonna say what 4 or 5 items, right? Mm-hmm. And the rest is kind of up to the appraiser. With conventional, you actually kind of don't know.
Shit, but in conventional,
it can be worse
historically, conventional, they didn't do none of the shit that they're doing right now. The stuff that they're doing right now is crazy.
But part of it is the underwriter. All of them going to take pictures and send the appraisal to the underwriter. So the underwriter gets that loan, they're underwriting that loan, and they see the driveway leaning like this, and it's a $300,000 home, not only appraised for $300,000, and they looking at the buyer's mortgage bank account. They see the buyer got just enough money to buy this house, but you got this trip hazard in the driveway the buyer can't even park on. They don't have the money to fix it. What you think the underwriter gonna say?
I would agree with that, but that's an extreme circumstance. But there's extreme on the other side now. Conventional. Well, there's putting stuff on there that shouldn't be on the
that's
what window.
But but the point, that's like, what I'm saying. The point is no need to not go FHA if you got a fair average condition home, unless you got obvious FHA repairs that you refuse to do, because either way you're at you're at the mercy of the appraiser and the underwriter.
And I'll be honest, I still would accept FHA because the myth is that FHA catches everything because they don't.
And the other myth
They
is, and the other myth is that you actually got to do the work.
Right.
FHA don't. Most lenders don't care who do the work. They just care that it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you might have a buyer that say, "Oh, this garage need painting," and we've done it. And the buyer go over there and next Sunday that garage painted, and the seller is like, "Oh, I didn't know they was gonna do that." Well, they told you they was, right? Or y'all agreed to that and they went and did it. If you're a buyer that's gonna do that, though, get the seller's permission. Don't just show up and paint their garage while they out of town.
That is hilarious.
Because you painted it the color you want it to be when you move in.
Fuchsia.
They come back with a pink garage.
Fuchsia. All right. So lower values. FHA has the appraiser is going to give you a lower value than a conventional appraisal.
Nah.
Myth.
Sure.
All right. And then what about for our investors out here? What's the seasoning requirements for FHA?
90 days.
All right. And if it's less than 90 days,
You're going to
then
need
what?
2 appraisals.
All right. It's a wrap.
Well,